Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Bolt Crew podcast. My name is Dave Pele, Josh Pele, and Mario Heron, talking Chargers football with you. How'd I do, Richie? I read it word for word of what you exactly wrote. Nobody likes a smartass, Richie. It's all right. Very, very funny. Good job. All right, look, talking Charger football, a lot going on. Look, there's a lot going on personally right now. I'm gonna let you guys know this show is going to end at 1:50 Pacific time. All right, Josh has to get out, get married in 48 hours. We got a lot going on. You're lucky we even got a show. All right, you're welcome, San Diego. You're welcome, Los Angeles. You're welcome. All right, so here's the deal. Charger football, guys, a lot is happening actually. My prediction was that there'd be like 5 roster moves before they set the final 53. We celebrated personally, Mario, more so probably in this house than you did where you are, that Tony Jefferson was an active member of this team, and how what a great story it is that here he is. He's with the Ravens. He, of course, he has San Diego ties. He has ties to the Harbaugh family. He's in Los Angeles, comes out of retirement, and then we find out today basically they're putting him on waivers. And Tony Jefferson is now going to be a guy they want to bring back to the practice squad. He had the game of his life and the game of many people's lives against the Cowboys. Like, it was unbelievable. If Tony Jefferson was 22, 23 years old, because I think 31 NFL teams would have had interest in signing Tony Jefferson. Josh, are you surprised with how it worked? It's just the business of the NFL.
I'm surprised, man. I'm very surprised. Tony couldn't have played a better game, and he's connected to the Ravens in so many different ways. Like I said last show, recruited by Jim Harbaugh when he was at Stanford out of high school. Maybe Tony's decommitment from Stanford had something to do with this. I don't know. Also worked for Joe Ortiz last year as a scout. Jesse Minter was a defensive assistant with the Ravens in 2017 when Tony was there. So I'm surprised. I thought he played well enough to be on this team. And he's boys with Derwin James, who said he wanted Tony to be signed and to be on this team as well. So I am surprised.
God, it didn't really make a lot of sense to me either. Last episode we were kind of taking victory laps going, Tony Jefferson looks like he's going to be on this team. We're so excited. And then, we find out that he gets let go. And obviously I know it cuts home for you guys because you guys go way back with them. And like you said, there's so many connections with it that it just was surprising. And I thought he'd be a really big voice in the locker room. But hey, we know Harbaugh holds grudges, so it could be the Stanford thing, like you said. But I'm just kidding. That's not a conspiracy theory that we got going. Let's make a list. But I think, guys, we can't bury the lead here. I think the most exciting part is that we got the king, the Heinicke.
Go ahead,
his jersey.
Go ahead. Say it right now. Why don't you let people know in case they aren't aware that there's a new backup quarterback?
Yeah, so the Chargers traded for Tyler Heinicke. If people don't remember him, he was the Washington quarterback that almost beat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers when they made their Super Bowl. Like, does anyone else remember that? He dove for the end zone, literally at one point that they're going to pull it off. They ended up falling short. Veteran backup, was a starting QB at one point for Atlanta last year. Very suitable, very exciting player. We got him for, we should have a 7th round pick. Could be a 6th round pick based off circumstances, how many starts, he gets, yada, yada, all that good stuff. Guys, I think this is incredible for the Chargers. I think it's a very smart move by the Chargers. You get a guy that, one, has played in a playoff game before, has years of experience. He has everything that Easton Stick doesn't have, right? Like, let's just be honest, man. He just has it all. So everything you need a backup QB, veteran, been in tough positions, played in a playoff game, knows the game, and he's not going to put any pressure on your QB1. I freaking love it, Dave.
No, I'm excited. Again, it's an upgrade, right? The whole deal is, can you upgrade at any position? That's always the goal. So, with Taylor Heinicke coming in, you absolutely, you upgraded right there. There's so many different storylines that are kind of funny about this to me, or find fascinating. I'm one of those guys that I kind of like, uncomfortableness, so at the same time, we always say we don't talk politics on this show, but he was very vocal about his allegiance to Donald Trump and JD Vance, and it kind of, shot back at him. Like, the reason we don't talk politics on the show is, look, we're going to lose half the audience. All right. We aren't going to try and tell you what side we go, but since he was so vocal and put himself out there, and it rubbed some people the wrong way, and a lot of people saying, hey, good, I'm buying his jersey, and I used to be a fan, now I'm not a fan anymore. One thing about Los Angeles, it's extremely blue. And, for him to come out here, might get a little uncomfortable when people look up what his history is, but maybe it won't. I mean, Josh made a really good point of something that I thought was a big deal that wasn't a big deal. A couple weeks ago, I said, they're still fighting for a fan base, meaning the Rams and the Chargers, when they face each other, and goes, nobody cares. And Josh was right. Nobody did care, and nobody still cares. It's not like a fight's going to break out if you walk by someone wearing a Rams jersey and they go, Chargers suck. No one's throwing a punch, and vice versa. It's more Clippers-Lakers, Josh, and even that's not a big deal. That's not a big rivalry in Los Angeles. It's definitely more a USC, UCLA thing if you're going to look for guys who hate each other. So Heinicke coming here is fine. I'm extremely happy they got the upgrade. The second part is I don't know what the deal is with this Easton Stick situation, but the story's coming out that Easton Stick gets a chance to stay on this roster or practice squad or third string, whatever the situation is going to be with him, is that because Justin Herbert wants him. Josh and I were talking about this before we went on there today and saying, what is the deal? How is any player allowed to dictate a roster? And when LeBron James does it, who's been in the league 20 years, people get really mad. When you have a quarterback who hasn't won a playoff game, if he's controlling part of the roster, I'm telling you right now, I'm not okay with it as a fan. Look, Derek Jeter's best friend didn't play second base for the Yankees. It doesn't work that way in sports. You understand? So if Easton Stick is there because of a relationship he has with Justin Herbert, get over it. We got to be better at every position when you possibly can.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not for players choosing the teams. That's what the GM's for. That's what the coach is for. The players play, and that's an old school approach, I guess. But it doesn't usually work. Mario and I have talked about this before. Kevin Durant and all these basketball players that want to choose their own team. Justin Herbert, I understand it's the backup quarterback. It's not the most important thing in the world, but it is important because Justin Herbert could get hurt, and we don't want to see Easton Stick in there and stink it up. We'd rather see Taylor Heinicke, who would have been the best third-string quarterback in NFL history, right? I mean, why was he the third-string quarterback anywhere? He's obviously a backup quarterback. He played the entire season with the Washington football team a few years ago, so I'm all for it. The whole politics thing, we're never going to talk politics on the show. You'll never know which side we lean, but it was interesting that he came out and was outspoken about which side he's on. Tua did that the other day as well. If I was an athlete, I would never come out and say which side I was on because I wouldn't want to piss off half the fans, like you said. So I don't really care where Taylor Heinicke's at. I'm a Chargers fan. If he can throw the football around, that's all I care about, really.
That's all I care about. And if, we have a week where plantar fasciitis, how you say it, whatever, starts really creeping up on Justin Herbert and he has to sit out, like, I want to be able to trust the guy that's going to come in there to win us a football game. That's going to be Taylor Heinicke. And I really, really do believe that he can do it for whichever week it is. Like you said, we've talked about the AFC is a jam-packed, conference, man. I mean, there's some dogs everywhere, and every week is literally do or die. And in order to win, you got to have your guys and got to be deep. That's the problem with the Chargers the past 2 years. One guy goes down and the whole thing falls apart. We can't have that anymore. It's got to be a next man up mentality. To have Heinicke in that situation is absolutely perfect. So I really like it, man. Like you said, arguably the best third string quarterback since Nick Foles when he was the third string behind Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. Now, what a hell of a QB room that was, Dave. I mean, that's mediocrity. That's what that is. If you want to see mid, you put those three faces right there.
All right. So some of the other moves Chargers made, in case you weren't paying attention, as we mentioned, Tony Jefferson at the beginning. The reason Tony Jefferson was expendable was because the Chargers made a trade with the Titans for Elijah Molden. Again, Molden's a guy that was a cornerback most of his career. He's young. He's still young. He was a rookie in 2021. He was a cornerback, but he has made the transition to safety, which you see, it happens a lot. Chargers aren't saying that he's a safety only. The one thing the Chargers said they like about this trade a lot is that he has the ability to play both positions. And that's one thing Tony Jefferson didn't have. Tony wasn't a guy that can move to safety. There's a much better chance that Tony would move to linebacker before he'd move to safety. He just doesn't have that blazing speed. Molden, though, overall, he's an athlete.
Tony is a safety.
I'm sorry?
I mean, cornerback. You meant cornerback. Tony is safety.
No, safety to linebacker, I said. So Molden can play safety to cornerback.
No, but you're saying Tony doesn't play safety. Tony is a safety. You're saying Tony can't play anything
sorry.
but
Tony
safety.
Doesn't play cornerback. I got the words mixed up. Sorry about that. Good catch. My point is, you look at the athletic position as far as can you play corner, can you play safety in this league? And that's what Molden does. That's why they make the trade. That's why they bring him in. At the same time, he has struggled. And again, you can sit there and go, well, he was with the Titans. Maybe he didn't have the best coaching. The head coach was a defensive coach the same time, he wasn't a defensive backs coach. You know, we want to believe this Charger staff is better than the staff that the Tennessee Titans had, the one that was basically let go. So with the coaching coming in, here's an athlete, here's a guy that was expected to do something in the NFL since 2021, hasn't had the NFL career that I'm sure he thought he was going to have. But there's something Joe Ortiz saw to say, let's make that trade. Let's bring him in. And if you want to look at Joe's history with the Ravens, the one thing the Ravens have had in the past, they've been solid on defense and they've been solid in the defensive backfield. I'm sure they're going to get the most out of Molden, and maybe you're going to see the best of Molden that he has to offer, something we have not seen in the NFL since he's been with the Titans.
Hey, let's knock off the politics in the chat here, okay? Let's focus on the Chargers.
Calm down.
Not enough. Yeah, you guys got to calm down. Take it offline. So, yeah, it's just funny because I'm a Padre fan, and the whole joke here is we always take players from the Texas Rangers because that's where our GM is from. We're taking guys from the Tennessee Titans. It's like taking from the mid, but I believe in Joe Ortiz. Like Dave said, he has a history, or has been with the franchise that has a history of picking up the right players. The Ravens always have great defensive backs, so I trust Joe Ortiz in this situation. Chargers need help at corner. I mean, straight up, the Chargers are going to need a lot of guys that can get in there and shut down the receivers on the other team. If you can put a guy in a slot that can slow down a receiver, a corner, or a receiver, a tight end, we'll take that as well. Elijah Molden's an unproven guy. I'm all for it. I mean, we need help. So I'm all for this move. Nobody really knows what he has. He's been with the team. You don't even know what the Tennessee Titans are week after week. When we played them last year, it was like watching paint dry. So I'm all for it. I'm all for the move.
Trust Joe until we can't anymore. And that's kind of what that right now. Yeah, like taking from the Titans, it's not the, I would say the best models, like especially because you could argue the moves they made in the past, 3 years haven't really made a lot of sense, right? Obviously, trading for DeAndre Hopkins didn't really make sense for at the time, or like signing it was just like, really? That's what you're going to do? Firing Mike Vrabel, but we want to go a different direction, going a different direction. We need DB help, man, and that's a weak spot on the team right now. And that's a position you can just never have enough of. You can never have enough DBs. It's a position that is done by union. It's not a position just done by one person. Like, you need a lot of guys to kind of help in there and make that group successful. So I'm all for it, Dave. And whatever gets the Bolts to be 1-0 every week, make it be 1-0 every week. If I gotta get a black eye for the Chargers, I'll get a black eye for the Chargers. Just hitting my brother Joey at one point. So yeah.
Yep. I'm laughing because there's a whole nother show that always goes on when you sit in the chair Josh is in. I don't know what it is. I told you I have 9 people in my house right now as we're getting ready for this wedding in a couple days.
Let's rank all
no
9.
Fs. Yeah.
What?
She gives no. My grandma gives no Fs. I said, don't
no
walk
Fs
in the hallway when I'm doing this podcast. You have one rule: doesn't listen. Yeah. I mean, and she's just standing there. I don't even know what the hell she's doing. Dave and I got a good laugh. What do you want me to ask her?
Yeah.
She'll get upset if I ask her anything.
Yeah.
What do you want me to say?
Okay. I was going to ask her what she thought of Taylor Heinicke signing with the Chargers.
No, she's going to be like Kathy Bates in The Waterboy, just dancing in the background. Like, right there, right behind Lynn Swan. But you're not the only one. Her brother-in-law did it last year. Remember? It was just, it was
He stood there.
He just stood there. That was an all-time moment.
He's actually here too. He's actually here too. Yeah, for the wedding. But Dave and I got the best laugh today when we saw that Kenneth Murray as a captain for the Titans. Like, what? Like, do they not watch film in Nashville where I live? I mean, like, how the hell does Kenneth Murray? How is he on a roster? How is he starting? And how is he a captain for an NFL team in 2024? Like, to me, that was the most insane thing. Also, equally insane is Austin Eckler, how high he is on these draft boards in fantasy football. Like, what? The dude hit, 13 miles an hour at Lambeau Field last year, but yet you're going to draft him in fantasy football for one of the worst teams in the NFL. Like, I just don't understand some things that happen.
No, it's funny. Calvin Ridley's like, man, I lost that bet. I did not have Calvin Ridley. I did not have Kenneth Murray as a captain for the Titans. That is something else. Look, here's the deal, man. We said it from a long time ago, and you guys can get mad at us all you want. We said, look, until Jim Harbaugh gets a chance to coach a game and set the record, anything Jim does, we believe in. Same with Joe. We said the same thing. I will give credit to the Chargers for this. They weren't content with the roster they had. And you know what? They're making moves. I mean, we thought moves need to be made. We know this roster is not as deep as some. And it doesn't matter. They have gone out and they have made moves. The Tony Jefferson move had to be one of the toughest moves they've ever had to make, right? Josh told you in the last show the relationship Tony Jefferson has with everybody that works in that building. That had to be tough, but that's because wins are all that matters. And that's what shows up. When it's all said and done on your scorecard is where are the wins? And it goes for everybody in that organization, whether you're an owner, you're a player, you're a front office guy, a coach. That's what means. And I'm glad that's direction they show. Because teams lose, man. When you start thinking with your heart instead of your head, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And the fact that this team says we can be better and they're looking at other rosters to get better, they're doing exactly what I want as a fan.
Absolutely. And if you guys follow the Chargers on social media, you could see Tony was at Top Golf with the rest of the guys, joking around with them, making fun of J.K. Dobbins' swing, making fun of Khalil Mack's swing. Like, he's just one of those guys that you love to have around. I've said it so many times on the show. I think having locker room guys is important. I think for any team, no matter whether it's Little League or the NFL, having the guys on your team that could keep it loose and be fun to be around are more important than us fans think of. If Justin Herbert was dictating the roster and saying, I want Easton Stick here and I want this receiver here, I would be less of a fan of Justin Herbert, frankly. I don't think that's his job. The Chargers choosing with their head instead of their heart, I guess you got to respect it to some degree because, like I said, Tony has a close relationship with so many of these guys. I don't think the Chargers are done. I think there's a few more moves they're going to make. They got rid of Jarrett Patterson as well. They released him. So they're going to have 3 quarterbacks on the roster, and they took away one of the running backs. So I think here in the next few days before the season starts, you might see a couple more moves.
I'm so interested, guys, in just fast forwarding like into the middle of the season. We have the trade deadline coming up. If the Chargers will, one, make a move, and 2, if they're going to be involved in any talks, right? Like I'm just fascinated to see what happens. Let's say they start off pretty hot, right? And they're, sitting at whatever, 6-1 or something like that. And you're like, all right, God, the Chargers are looking pretty damn good right now. And we're coming up with the trade deadline, and there's maybe a move that could be made, Dave, like to just take that team above a level. And it's like, hey, maybe we can kind of go for something right here, like this year. Will they make that move? Will they not make the move? Does Hassan Reddick's situation get even worse with the Jets? Like, what happens over there? Like, could that be something that they could really look at? I mean, the Jets are known to make dumb decisions, and they don't do good at correcting a dumb move. They just get dumber. So, like, what happens there? What maybe DeAndre Hopkins, does he become available suddenly for the Titans? Devontae Adams. I know that's Raiders, but still, like, I'm just curious what happens in the middle of the season when the trade deadline's coming, and if the Chargers get involved in any way.
It's funny. Obviously, the Raiders would be a pick you wouldn't expect to dance with, right?
Yeah.
Especially Tom Telesco being the general manager. The Titans are a good call, though. Out of any team in the NFL, the Titans are a good call. And usually the Titans don't have wide receivers. They actually have 4 wide receivers this year. The Titans are deep in that position. The Titans are a team that aren't going to win. Most people are picked to finish last in that division. There are guys on the Titans that could come to Los Angeles and help this team out this year. I mean, literally, I think the 4 guys that the Titans have with their wide receivers right now are all better than the wide receivers the Chargers currently have. So as far as that move goes, I could see that. And it's one of the things we used to criticize this organization in the past. It seems like you guys are so afraid to make moves. And let's see if Joe Ortiz is a little bit different. Will you make moves? If you can see the playoffs in the future, will you make a move at that trade deadline? It's not like Major League Baseball where, Justin Verlander's getting traded. But there are teams that are saying, we want to compete and we want to be in the postseason now. As long as we get into the dance, even if we don't win the division, as A.J. Smith used to say, we just got to get there. I would love to see it. I think that the fan base loves it. It rejuvenates the players, the coaches to say we're all in on this thing. The Titans would be an interesting trade partner, Mario. I think you probably hit right at the top as far as the team I think they would trade with. And they've already made.
I never understood why the Chargers. I never understood why the Chargers never did mid-season trades. It never made any sense to me why you wouldn't want to get better at the trade deadline like they do in every other sport. Chargers never are part of that new regime now. Maybe that happens. Donald Parham signs with the Denver Broncos. Does that mean anything to you, Mario?
Like, no. And good luck throwing to him in the end zone when he has one-on-one coverage and the ball goes right through his hands. And then as he falls down, he gets up and goes, jammed my pinky. I'm out for 2 weeks. I bet that's about minus 5,000 of happening. And that just killed our chances of him ever coming on the show. But hey, what are you going to do?
That's all right. He probably dropped the phone. Look, here's the deal. Here's the deal, Parham. And you know what? You know it's karma right there, Mario. You know he's going to catch a touchdown pass against us. I mean, that's just what's going to happen, right? That's the way it's going to go. It's going to be an FU game, and watch this. It's going to be down to 8 degrees. He's going to catch one in the snow. Couldn't catch it indoors, but he's going to catch one in the snow. It's going to be extremely frustrating. And then we're going to end up walking down the street kicking invisible cups again, going, how the hell did Donald Parham do it there, but didn't do it here? I'm sorry it didn't work out. It seemed like it should have worked out. There was a stretch there for a few games where you're like, hey, he figured it out. I guarantee there are guys in the chat right now picked him up in fantasy football last year who said, you see the last 2 games, I'm getting Parham. And we all look dumb. I did it too. That's just the way it goes. It's good riddance. I don't know what to say. He never was the player we thought he was going to be. Right? We've all played with that big, tall guy. We just chuck it up to him in the end zone in the backyard. Dude,
oh yeah,
be that guy. Just throw it up high, like an alley-oop. Just throw it up high. They can't get it. The cornerbacks are 5'11". You're whatever 6'8", whatever how high it was. That was it. Josh and I went to a game where he got the crap knocked out of him. Remember that game against the Chiefs?
Dude, we should have won that game if he would have caught that ball.
Yeah, you're right. He didn't even know where he was. He went home and started. The phone would ring and starts answering the iron. He didn't know where he was after that hit.
He's like everything I prayed I wish I was, like tall and just having the excitement of like I just get the ball thrown to me in the end zone. That's like the dream. And then mess it up, like that's crazy. Like if I was 6'6", if there's a reason why God didn't give me height, guys. I'm just gonna say that. Because if I was 6'6", I'd probably be one of the worst people on the planet. I would go to every pickup basketball. I would try to dunk on everyone. In football, I would be such a terrible. I should stop talking. I'm just making myself sound terrible. Josh, what are you gonna think?
Okay, so I played quarterback to some degree in college and high school. I played as well, and I never understood in the NFL or high level football how the tall receiver or tight end is not always taking advantage of the little cornerback or the smaller guy on him. Like in basketball, if you have a center, let's say you have Dwight Howard, and then you have a guard on him, like let's say it was like Austin Reeves, it's barbecue chicken. Like you just throw the ball in there and he's going to score every time. How in the NFL do you not take advantage of being 6'8" when you have a 5'10" corner on you? Does that make any sense? Like if you have a safety that's guarding a tight end and he's 6 feet tall and Donald Parham 6'8", you can't figure out a way to score in the red zone. I'd never understood that. It's so frustrating as a Charger fan. You're like, I mean, Dave and I would at least sit next to each other and be like, throw it to Parham. I mean, dude, the guy's 6'8", throw it up. And it just never happened. Like Mike Williams, what's Mike Williams, 6'4"? I'm not rooting for Mike Williams anymore because he's not on the team. But Mike Williams 100% took advantage of every single inch of 6'4" that he was. Like he came down with those 50-50 balls. Donald Parham, it's like a 10-90 ball. Like he's not going to catch it. Drove me nuts the whole time he was a Charger.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Josh. Completely frustrating. I mean, even if you don't know how to draw up an offensive play, just throw it up high. Just throw it up high. I'll be in the back of the end zone. Chargers used to do it with Kellen Winslow. He wasn't that tall. He was not as tall as Parham. Dwight Clark catch that famous, the catch against Everson Wall. Same thing. You just throw it up high. It never made sense why it didn't work out more often than it did. Yeah, I do want to remind you guys because people are writing about it in the chat. Look, a lot of people right here, right now, appreciate you guys taking time in the middle of your day to listen to the show. This is the time right here. We need you to subscribe and click that like button. Please go ahead and click the like button. We're going to give you a last chance. Today's the day to click the like button. If you don't, we have a tracker. We're going to come to your house and we're going to break your thumbs. And that's what's going to happen. No, we aren't doing that. Just click the like button. Just help us out. What's the damn issue? All right.
Breaking kneecaps tomorrow, boys.
Yeah, Mara's coming down. Now it's 3 of us you have to deal with.
Yeah.
So the other move Chargers made, they claimed a running back again from the Titans, 4th rounder in 2022, IR 2023. It's Hassan Haskins. Haskins, though, played for Harbaugh at Michigan, so he knows exactly what he's getting in him. As Josh said earlier in the show, Jarrett Patterson, he's the guy that's to make room. He's the one that's let go in that situation. So Haskins comes here. The good news is, you know what Harbaugh's about. You know the kind of guys that he wants, and there's something in Haskins that he still wants. It's not like the Pete Carroll situation where he tells Taylor Mays, you know what, I got the most out of you at USC. I saw it. I don't need it anymore in the pros. And Taylor is, what? What do you mean I'm on the Bengals? What just happened here? So it's not that situation. He wants Haskins in a Charger uniform, and Haskins is now in a Charger uniform. So, again, a guy that's part of the Harbaugh family, the Harbaugh tree that goes, that's the kind of guy I want, the kind of culture I want in this locker room.
Okay, I'm trying to see. Somebody wrote that they signed Tony to the practice squad.
Well,
believe it's true.
That's absolutely the plan. So
Oh,
obviously,
22
when you
minutes
release
ago,
them,
they did.
okay, so that
They
means
did.
nobody
Tony's
claimed him.
back.
So nobody
Yeah.
claimed Tony. So Tony now again practice squad guys. This is a chance Tony plays in games.
Tony
That's
should
good.
play, man. He should play. Unbiasedly, he should play. Like, these DBs aren't that great. My guy, I'm calling for the year. We haven't done the predictions yet for the season. Gilman. It's gonna be awesome this season. I swear to God, watching this guy play from the last 2 years, I think this is his breakout year. I know we're not supposed to talk about this yet, but that's the guy I'm most excited for on this whole team, Mario. The whole defense. Gilman. I think the guy's unbelievable. I think he's going to be knocking heads off with Derwin James in the back end, bring that toughness back to the Chargers.
I'm with you. And I know I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get eye rolls from someone in here. One, I think Gilman's going to be, I don't want to say breakout star, but it's going to be one of those where it's not just Charger fans know him. You know what I mean? I think this is the year where like everyone's kind of like, God, I didn't know like how good of a dog or how good of a player Gilman was. You're like, yeah, dude, he's kind of a beast. I think it's a big Joey Bosa year. Big Joey Bosa year. Like, I might bet on him to win Defensive Player of the Year. I really think this is kind of like, what'd you say?
Oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, first off, I gotta make sure I get all my bets in for the weekend tonight before I head to California. But yeah, I really do think, man, I think Joey Bosa is gonna come in here. He's going to have chip on his shoulder. This is the year he's probably the most underrated, Dave. Like, I think he's probably getting the less hype he's ever gotten in his career coming into a season. I think he has something to prove to not only himself, but this team, this organization that didn't draft him, that didn't extend him. It's all new guys that's around him. So he's got to prove something.
Look, I hope he has a great year. I told you my predictions, crazy predictions last week. I said 14 sacks. It would be the number, but that's a lot. And the thing is, I think Joey, honestly, guys call me crazy. I don't think Joey's competing against himself, and I don't think he's competing against Nick. I think he's competing with his coach to show him I'm the guy. I'm the guy that you heard about. And he is, man. I hate to say it. He's at the kind of that end of the rope deal where it's almost like people are sick of Joey Bosa. I'm not the only one that is frustrated. He has underachieved the last few years. And it's not just the stats where he's underachieved. It's the pulling himself out of games, the injuries, the things that have happened that have kept him off the field where you question. And even when he's off the field, he becomes a distraction. Sitting in a box seat and sitting in the box seat and Raisin Brent sat down on the field with his team. All that stuff is the stuff that is a little bit frustrating about Joey Bosa. But again, you have a new head coach. You have a coach that's a proven winner. It's a Michigan coach. You're an Ohio State guy. My guy that I think honestly gets back on the national map on this team, and I don't disagree with Josh. The guy is trying to pull a player that most people in the NFL aren't aware of. But I think Derwin James gets back on the national map. And what I mean is, like, I'm talking top 50 player in this league when they do the NFL top 100 next year. And it's going to make Brandon Staley look like a fool. More than anything Brandon Staley did as it's supposed to be a defensive guy, always had him out of position, asked him to do too much. And I think Derwin James playing what Derwin James is capable of doing. Because if you listen to him, he sounded beaten last year. This year, he sounds completely refreshed. I think Derwin James has an enormous year this year.
I agree with that. I think Derwin James is going to be back to his old form of being a top player in the NFL. You say top 50. I think he'll be top 20 if he's the number one safety in the NFL, which he could be. I already said Gilman. People think you're lying about Joey Bosa. I know you want Joey Bosa to do well. You're a Charger fan. We all want Joey Bosa to do well.
100% want him to do well.
I looked up his odds right now of winning Defensive Player of the Year. Where do you think he ranks amongst all NFL defensive players in winning Defensive Player of the Year?
Mario, you're good at this.
Let's see. So you have Crosby. You also have the corners. 12.
Angie, I'm with you, by the way. I'm reading that chat.
12. Okay. What do you think, Dave?
48.
21.
Okay.
21st best chance of winning Defensive Player of the Year, which I think is a little bit high considering he hasn't. I mean, whoever made that's probably high. But for him to be 21st, he just hasn't been that guy that's been consistent on the field.
Can I guess number one?
I haven't even looked it up, but I'm guessing it's Watt.
Really?
Number one is TJ Watt plus 550.
What is Myles Garrett?
I mean,
what about the Dallas Cowboys?
Bosa's 80-1.
Yeah. What is Parsons?
Parsons plus 600. Crosby's right behind him plus 700. Myles Garrett plus 800. Nick Bosa 9-1.
All right. By the way, I'm going to give you. I'm going Max Crosby. By the way, Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL.
Bold.
If I had to put my money on it, I'd go Max Crosby. I think he's.
Are we doing predictions already? Oh.
Well, you started it.
I got mine ready.
Yeah.
I did start it. I didn't really start it, but I'll go. You know how every year in any sport they want to give an award to somebody? Like a few years ago was Joel Embiid. Like we have to give Joel Embiid the MVP. Like we have to do it. I feel like that about Micah Parsons. Not that he doesn't deserve it, but the NFL just wants to give it to Micah Parsons, like so bad. Like they post his highlights, like you would not believe, on every single Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Micah Parsons is all over the place. He's also, in my opinion, super annoying. Like when I see him with CJ Stroud in Japan playing baseball, I'm like, dude, get this guy off my screen. Like I can't take Micah Parsons anymore. Any Cowboy annoys me. Like Dalvin Cook going to the Cowboys. Ask me if I care. I don't. Like, why do we keep talking about the Cowboys all the time? Micah Parsons, I said all that just to say Micah Parsons, I think, is going to get Defensive Player of the Year.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. I could definitely see an avenue. And also contract year, right? So he's going to be playing with a little bit extra chip on his shoulder. Maybe he kind of gets it for Parsons. I wouldn't be against that. I will say, though, guys, I think it's like the star player on this team that I think is going to have a really, really big year, and that is forgotten about. And I'm saying this impartially because he's 30-1 to win it, and I actually really like that. What about Will Anderson?
Wow. That'd be something.
You know what I mean? Because he's got a defensive head coach that's a genius. That team's going to be front and stage every single week. Stroud's going to get the attention. Diggs is going to get them in the news for doing something stupid or being pissed off because he didn't get the ball thrown to him 1,000 times in the game. They're going to be in the news somehow. What if in a primetime game, Anderson gets 3 sacks? That's going to go up. I'll take a little sprinkle on Will Anderson. He could do it. Yeah, he could do it.
He's the best defensive player Nick Saban ever had at Alabama. And I love all the other guys. Minkah Fitzpatrick. I mean, it's a hell of a statement. He was, dude. The guy was unbelievably good. And he was NFL Rookie of the Year last year. I'll go MVP, okay? My MVP for this season, and it's a quarterback award, basically, right? It's a quarterback that wins it almost every single year. I hate to say this because we don't like him on this show. I'm going to go Joe Burrow. I think if Joe Burrow stays healthy, I think he could be a guy that wins the MVP. And he's another guy I feel like the NFL wants to give him a big-time award. NFL loves Joe Burrow. Fans love Joe Burrow. I could see him winning MVP.
Okay, that's a great question, Mario. Before you go, who does the NFL want to see win that MVP award? I think it's Aaron Rodgers. I think the NFL wants to see Aaron Rodgers win MVP again. New York, Jets, all the media guys are Jets fans. It's obvious. It's insane.
Jets are like Aaron Rodgers. I don't think people like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I think they don't like Aaron at all. I think Aaron would be a bad one for him. I think if you want to go like who they want, I think it would be Burrow or Allen, because then that would increase the rivalry between them and Mahomes, and they can build something off that. And they're both due.
Obviously, Dak would help them too. Would help the NFL too. That'd be interesting to see. I don't know. It's funny. I was going to go Burrow. I was going to go with Josh on that one. I was going to go if Joe Burrow can stay healthy. The Bengals are just a completely different franchise when Joe Burrow is healthy. I mean, he's 4 years in the league. He's been injured half the time. I mean, that's not a good sign.
I can tell you right now, someone said this in the chat. They do not want Herbert. I'd love it if it was Herbert, but I really don't think the NFL needs it to be Herbert.
No, the NFL doesn't need it.
No.
Let me tell you something. And look, this is not a shot at Justin Herbert. If Justin Herbert wins MVP, he is the greatest player in the history of the NFL. With the talent that's around him to catch the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes him the greatest player in the history of this league for one season. That'd be the craziest MVP award of all time.
Yeah, do the math. And horrible phrase that we all hate. Do the math on if Justin Herbert wins the MVP. You have to have 2 1,000-yard receivers. They have to each have 10 touchdowns each for Justin Herbert to have an MVP. I don't know if he has the receivers with him this year. Who's your guys' picks? Did you choose Aaron Rodgers? Was that your pick?
No, I was gonna go. I'll do it. I'll go different than Josh. I'm gonna go Aaron Rodgers. I'll go Aaron Rodgers.
But you just said you weren't gonna pick Aaron Rodgers.
No, I am. I'm doing it now. I think the Jets have a decent year, and I think the NFL would love to see someone in the number 1 media market win it. It's gonna be Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers won Teammate of the Year last year for the Jets. He wasn't even there. Everyone's like, he was never here. What do you mean he won Teammate of the Year?
It's ridiculous.
It is. I will say the times where he is doubted the most is when he tends to be his best, and that really worries me. God, this is hard. So I'm just gonna talk through my process. So I really don't think it's gonna be Mahomes. He's a leader at 5-1 to win it. I just really don't think it's gonna be him. I expect Kelsey to kind of get injured this year. He's going to be in the competition for it. And I think the whole year it's going to be Mahomes versus who, right? Like for that award. But the expectation from Mahomes is that he's just so insanely good. It's like almost hard for him to win it, if that makes sense. Like because we expect it, I feel like he'd have to break a record. And I just don't think he has a receiving core and the weapons around him to break a necessarily like record this year. Josh Allen is going to be running for his life the whole time. I don't really see that happening. Burrow, I don't want to take Josh's pick. That's a really good one. CJ Stroud is the most like chalky, like, hey guys, let's just go with CJ Stroud. And I'm almost wanting to do that. This is going to really hurt me to say. And it feels like a knife is getting stabbed in my throat and ripping it like all the way down.
Don't do it. You can see Jordan Love.
I could see Jordan Love winning it.
Wow. You know what? When you went through the names right there, if I was betting, CJ Stroud would be my guy. If I had to put money on it to follow through. You look at who he has to face inside the division twice. There's no competition. Those are huge numbers he could put up.
Yeah, I think.
And finish first place.
It's just and yeah, like you mentioned, like the milestones you have to hit, Josh. Actually, changing it. Jordan Love, keep eating weird cheese and hanging out with guys that are married to your cousins. We're going with CJ Stroud.
All right,
I like it. If I was betting, I think that's a good one, Mario. I think that's a really good pick.
It's a good pick. I like it too. Offense player of the year. I got it locked and loaded. I kind of alluded to it on the last show. I think he's going to have a breakout season. He's finally with a team that's not terrible at blocking. Like this team is actually competent. Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry is going to get offensive player of the year. He's with that Ravens team. People think that Lamar Jackson running the ball hurts the running back. I think it helps the running back. Gus Edwards had all those touchdowns last year. I think Derrick Henry's I think we all believe Derrick Henry's a much better running back than Gus Edwards is. I think Derrick Henry wins offensive player of the year.
All right. Mario, you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
You can go.
I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb, Dallas Cowboys. What other options do they have? Going CeeDee Lamb.
Nothing. He's third best odds too to win it. CeeDee Lamb is. Derrick Henry, by the way, do you guys want to guess how far down the board he is?
I'll go 15.
I'll go
12.
Further down.
Yeah, he's 40-1 to win it.
Dude, I like that bet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad. So my pick, this is because I think he's going on a revenge tour this year, and kind of similar to our discussion about MVP. I don't think Rodgers is going to win MVP or comeback player of the year because like the guys that are voting for that, he's not like liked. Like no one likes Aaron. And then if he's winning in New York, that doesn't make you more likable. It's not like winning in Buffalo where like people like fall in love with you if you do good in Buffalo. If New York you do good, it's like we hate you more. So I don't think he's going to get it. But if he plays really well, he's throwing it to Garrett Wilson. So that's why I kind of like Garrett Wilson. Right now, I think he's 30-1, what I just saw. For people that also don't understand that, when I'm saying 30-1, 20-1, it literally means if you put $1 down on it, you win $30.
Yeah.
So like that's what it means. So sorry, I probably should have said that a long time ago. But yeah, Garrett Wilson, offensive player of the year.
There you go. It's interesting to see. I don't even have a comeback player of the year.
I got one.
DeMar Hamlin.
Stop. All right. My comeback player of the year, if he stays healthy, which I don't believe he will be, but the division sucks. Anthony Richardson. If he shows the flashes of throwing the ball 100 yards, which means nothing to me. We all know he's fast. He's probably the biggest freak in the NFL. I think he could absolutely win comeback player of the year because that division's weak. He's a freak, and he could put up some big numbers.
I really like that one. I like that one a lot. I'll give two. One, I'm saying this because I think it's the only thing he could win this year. Just being honest. I think Herbert is like not out of the question for winning that. You know, didn't come back from an insanely bad injury, but like still came back from an injury, and they made it very clear that that's what they want with this award. So like Herbert. And the other guy that I'm going to say here, he's not going to start the season off. He's starting the season off still on PUP, but Nick Chubb.
Good one.
Oh yeah,
Not bad, right? I
No,
think
That's a
not
good
bad.
one.
yeah, I think that's going to be good.
Yeah, no, not bad at all. Not good job. Good job.
Thank
All
you.
right, some of the other things. Look, here's some of the guys I want to ask you about as we talk about what the Chargers could possibly do. I want to ask you, throw some names at you. We talked about quarterback situation. Looks like the Chargers have their guy. 2 quarterbacks out there that, again, they might have been signed as we're doing the show. Ryan Tannehill, Bailey Zappi, Kareem Hunt, running back situation, wide receiver Michael Thomas, 31 years old, formerly with the Saints. There are really no tight ends out there on the market. Any of those guys that you would like to see on this roster? It seems like there are only 2 options for the Chargers. That would be Kareem Hunt, Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas. Like, I would love to see if he can still play. I don't think the Chargers are going to do it because they want to give these guys an opportunity. But if they suffer injuries like they always do, why not sign Michael Thomas? What do you have to lose?
I'm kind of with you, man. Like, why not Michael Thomas? I'm old enough to remember that he went like close to 20 games in a row or something crazy like that and didn't drop a pass. I know they're all slants because Drew Brees couldn't throw it past 15 yards. But hey, man, that's something there. With our receiving core, would it really hurt that bad? I don't think it hurt that bad.
You know, it's really strange, right? The whole fallout. Remember him and Drew Brees had this big fallout in 2020. And it seemed like Michael Thomas never was serious about football since. Like, it didn't make any sense. He was in his prime. He put up the giant numbers. And here he is now, only 31 years old. And he was on his way to a Hall of Fame career. And then everything kind of just stopped. You wonder, could someone else get the most out of him? Again, Ohio State guy, right? You kind of wonder, does he need to be coached differently? I mean, he hasn't had exactly the most or the best coaching, I should say. You know, Sean Payton's gone basically he's been without Sean Payton for 3 years in a row. Dennis Allen's a joke. And then you wonder, could Jim Harbaugh get something out of him? I'd be for it too. I mean, if he has a desire to play, obviously it's one of those where, Harbaugh would say, I got to look in his eyes and see, does he have the enthusiasm to match the rest of this team and bring him in? But he has the resume. He sure has the resume.
LA guy. He's from LA.
Not Julio Jones. He's not old. 31's not bad. He's not banged up anymore.
He's younger than Aaron Judge.
Yeah, he's younger than Aaron Judge. How about that?
Unbelievable.
Who would have thought? Jason Tatum's still 21. Yeah.
There you go. All right, couple NFL notes for you as well. Steelers named Russell Wilson quarterback over Justin Fields. I'm not surprised. You guys surprised by that one?
No, not at all.
Mario?
No, but I give that 2 weeks, and then Justin Fields comes in and becomes a starter, especially because Tomlin's saying that they're going to run packages for him. I don't see Russell Wilson staying in there long. I think it ends up being Fields' job come week 3.
All right, the one I don't understand is Patriots named Jacoby Brissett starting quarterback over Drake May.
Okay, why don't you guys understand? Because I'm a huge fan of this. So let's
explain yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll tell you. You say what you want to say, and I'll say what I think.
Okay. One, when I saw this, I was really, really thinking about it. So I have 2 spin zones on this. One, I really, really think the Patriots should have just traded the 3rd pick to the Giants. Looking back, I really think with what Giants were offering for that pick, I think the Pats should have just taken that pick, said Brissett's our QB1. We're not going to be good this year. The Giants still will not be that fantastic this year. In a very tough division. Like that team's not a very talented team. Let them take that. We can get a receiver for this year. Then next year, get a QB because we'll probably have a top 3 pick and then another 1st-round pick. If we wanted to move up, we can. They didn't do that. Now they're in this spot. I think that Drake May is going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. Though I say good, not great, not, amazing. But this team is so freaking bad. Why not just have him learn and not destroy his confidence? Like, why not? It worked for a lot of guys. It worked for Love. It worked for Mahomes. Those guys are doing pretty damn good right now. We just mentioned them in MVP conversations. This O-line is terrible. If all 3 of us rush at the same time, all of us are getting through. The O-line is so bad. There's no weapons on this team. They're not going anywhere. you might as well just have him learn, save his confidence, tell everyone to, Brissett's our guy until he literally falls down and snaps everything.
Okay, I was with you on the the first part. Like, if you aren't going to use him, then why did you still draft him? Right? Everyone says you need that franchise quarterback. I got it. But what the other teams were offering, then why wouldn't you just sit there and try and fix your roster? It's the worst roster in the league. It's a terrible roster. Titans think the Patriots roster is really bad. It's a really, really bad roster. I can't think of too many NFL rosters in my life that are this bad. The Patriots are a disaster, but you did draft him, and he was getting better. He's making progress every week. You could see in these preseason games where I'd say, let's go this way with this thing, as Norv Turner once said. I would leave him in there. I just don't understand why you wouldn't use him. I understand more of what Atlanta did with Penix than what I understand what the Patriots did with May, meaning there's a good chance if Kirk Cousins could be traded for, the farm next year to a team like the Raiders, and then you have Penix ready to step in. So I understand what they did there compared to this Drake May situation. That one did surprise me a little bit. So interesting to see what the Patriots do right now. Unfortunately, I believe they have a coach too that has been set up to fail until they bring in a guy like maybe Mike Vrabel. By the way, here's the most frustrating news I think in the entire NFL, unless you're a Browns fan. The Browns restructured Watson's contract, giving them $62 million in cap space. That's the highest among all 32 teams. Okay. So the Browns, as Josh told you last week, have more players in the NFL that they pay more than $10 million to than any team in the league. Yet now they have another $62 million to go and spend on free agency during the offseason next year. So, like, what the hell? Like, the salary cap never seems to make sense. Like, it always seems like it's wide open. And the Browns, who signed a horrible human being in Deshaun Watson, all of a sudden get $62 million of free space. The whole thing bothers me. The whole thing with the Browns bothers me.
Yeah, they're going to reload next year. I mean, their team's already good. They don't really need to reload, but they're going to add on. I'm glad that they were able to massage that contract to make it more sense. We have a paid chat. I got to get married, so I literally got to go. But we have a paid chat from JC AM that says, which ex-Charger do you believe has a higher upside in fantasy this year? Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, or Keenan Allen? I'll go first. I think Keenan Allen. I think Keenan Allen's being slept on tremendously. If you guys, we haven't forgot, but he was great last year when he played. He's with a decent quarterback in Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be decent. He's going to be with a good offense with a lot of guys that can make plays. I think Keenan Allen's going to have the best season out of those three guys.
This is tough, man. I think I'm going to go Keenan Allen too as well, because I think he's going to become kind of old reliable for Caleb Williams. And I think in that offense, a guy that's going to take the biggest hit with like getting targets and stuff like that is going to be Roman Dunze, just because of experience.
All right, how much did you pay for that chat right there? That question.
Are those
pesos
again?
Don't
get excited. Yeah,
I was about to say I literally held my glasses up to the screen. Thanks.
I think it's like $3.
I was about to
Thanks
say,
for emptying the
we
pocket.
like it, but we love it. But we love it, JC. We love it, and we love you.
There you go. That's Keenan Allen. He's by far he's the guy. Keenan Allen's the best chance right there as far as the way to go. By the way, I'm confused in some of the stuff on the side. I know Josh got to go, but one of them was Dave Gross. I don't even know what I said. Sorry. And then I got one that Josh got unfollowed on social media because you called yourself the human slot machine. Is that true?
I have no idea what that means. When did I say that?
That's funny. Actually, I kind of like that.
The human slot machine?
Yeah, I have no. They were back to back, both those. But anyway, that was earlier this show.
Taken in so many weird ways.
Exactly. That's what I was curious to know. All right, we got to go. No joke. Mario's getting on a plane coming out to California. Josh is getting married in less than 48 hours, and then it's going to be a good time. Looking forward to seeing Mario for the first time in person. Josh and I both. We're going to be back, though, on Tuesday, and we're getting ready for the start of the season. It's going to be game week, so there's a lot going on. We're going to go through the schedule again with this new roster, and we're going to give our predictions again on how things round up and where we think the final record's going to be with this team, where they finish. Thank you so much. If we did not get to your question on the side, we read them, I promise you. And if you want to respond on YouTube, we will get to those as well. But again, please subscribe, like, and thank you for being here in the middle of the day. Mario Heron, Josh Pele, I'm Dave Pele. We'll see you on Tuesday.